Welcome to Impact on the Ground with Tiia. I'm the CEO of a tech startup and passionate about making a difference. This podcast series will dig deeper into what it means to really make an impact. And this series is meant for everybody, whether you're an individual who wishes to help, whether you're a company, grant maker, social enterprise, charity, or government body who is working on making a social change. We focus on the dynamics between all these organizations who might have resources to give and who are working together with those organizations who actually tackle the challenges in our society on the ground. Today, we're going to be discussing a little bit what are social enterprises actually, and why these people who I'm now interviewing have set up a social enterprise rather than maybe charity or fully profit-making company. Today, I have a privilege to talk here with Daniel Evans, who is a Chief Executive Officer at Birmingham Enterprise Community. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
And we will soon ask you, what is your enterprise community doing? And welcome Mandy Matters and Kate Bailey from Love Sober, who are both authors of a book called Love Yourself Sober. And you also host a podcast and do various courses around sobriety, sorry, my pronouncement. And you are aiming your services for women who want to stay sober and also love being sober. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So let's start from Daniel. Please explain what is your organization doing and kind of why did you set it up or why did someone set it up as a social enterprise in the past?
Really great to be speaking with you guys today. Really looking forward to this. Birmingham Enterprise Community is a Midlands-based social enterprise that supports emerging entrepreneurs in all industries of all types, from idea stage all the way through to kind of high growth and scale up, with the thought that we can economically and socially empower these individuals to go out and find the problems in the world and come up with a way of tackling those problems. It was born out of a need for myself and a couple of my other partners to figure this out as well as young entrepreneurs trying to figure out how do you start a business, what is this all about. We realize there are other people with that struggle, so that's kind of where we got to with that. Social enterprise was something I learned about whilst I was at Newman University, a small university in Birmingham, and just this whole concept that you could create a social impact in a sustainable way, and I think that was the big thing for us with social enterprise, is not having to rely on donations, but being able to generate an organization that could be self-sufficient.
So how are you being funded? You said that you generate own income. Who is buying from you? Is it these entrepreneurs, or are they government bodies, or who is financing you?
So a bit of a mixed approach. So we have people who do self-funded programs, so they will come on and pay for themselves. We have had organizations sponsor places for particular groups. We have done contracts for local authorities. So a bit of a mixed approach really. And I think that the benefit is we're able to have the people that are able to pay for that support, and the people that are less able get help in being able to access the support still. So
social enterprises are for profit, but they circulate, certain, part of the profit at least to the, it's just like growing and scaling and renewing their services. How does it work for you guys? Are you, making any profit, or is everything circulated back to the business?
So we are a CIC, so Community Interest Company, limited by shares. Rather than by guarantee. In our articles, which obviously govern the way that the business is run, a minimum of 50% of the profits have to be reinvested back into the community. I think a maximum of 35% can be used as dividends to reward directors for their inputs to the business. We are in our second year at the moment. We're on track to make a small profit this year. But I think definitely at this early stage, those profits will be reinvested back to kind of fuel the growth of the business going forward.
Okay, thank you. So Mandy and Kate, you're both here, which is great. So tell us about your business and how it came about.
Yeah, so Love Sober is, as you said, a podcast and community company that helps women who want to get sober, stay sober, and love sober. So we look at not only kind of the beginnings when people are questioning their drinking, but also kind of long-term support through community and through courses and coaching programs. And so we decided to set up as a community interest company because we wanted to, I guess, two things really. We wanted to make sure that we were promoting in a way which people understood, because obviously when you're dealing with people that have mental health problems or problems with addiction, there's a lot of stigma about charging for services, and we wanted to make sure that people were understanding that what we were doing was on the basis of reinvesting and giving back, and not, trying to, I don't know, do something untowards with someone that has problems, and for us to live on a big yacht. as much as that would be, I'd like to have a yacht, but so we, that was one of the main things. And also because coaching, one-to-one, we have our own coaching businesses, one-to-one is expensive. It's not accessible to the majority of people. So the idea is, this is for next year, hopefully, is to start to look for funding, to start to sort of branch out and get some money in order for us to be able to, offer free places, offer, reduced prices for people that are in need. Especially we work a lot with mums, and, if you're a working mother or a stay-at-home mum, you don't have a lot of access to money. And there's a lot of stigma, again, about women in that situation, reaching out for help because they're scared of losing their children. They're scared of the social impact about admitting that they have a problem with alcohol. So it's really to be able to develop programs that are access for all. We started up about 3 years ago. We started with a podcast that was free, which we funded ourselves for about 1.5 years. We just put it out of our own pocket. And then we asked for donations with a Patreon account. So we started to fund the podcast primarily with that. And we obviously we wrote a book, and that was through a publisher, so that's another income, but we've been trying to reinvest that. And this year will be the first year where we'll be able to pay a little bit of profit, back into us, but also, back into the business in order for us to a lot of it is the technology, really. We have a site called Kajabi, which enables us to do, really good courses, enables us to do group coaching programs, but it's expensive. So all that tech, the podcast technology, Zoom, all those things that we've been funding ourselves. At the moment, we're just at that place where we can, start to have that being paid for by kind of people that use our services. So I don't know if we've missed anything, Kate. Have we?
No, I just, maybe my comment here for both of you, that obviously everybody also needs to get paid themselves. And sometimes
for sure.
We've been dealing with a lot of even with charities in the past, like all 3 years, and even charities face the stigma that many people think that they should be working for charity as well. They should be, because they're working with charity, they don't need much, and of course everybody needs eventually some money to pay their own bills and so on. So,
well, yeah, of course, yeah, and I think this is sort of it was one of our key practices when we were setting up, and we wrote our mission statements. And one of these things that is very important to us, because we work with mums, because we work with carers, and because we have experiences of that being that sort of squeezed middle, when you have to suddenly want to have one income, and it's lucky to have an income, etc. But we felt very strongly about the fact that it needs to be sustainable, because you don't want people trying to do something altruistic, burning themselves out, and then needing support. It's like, you know, business have to be slow growth, sustainable, and for our, you know, the women that we deal with as well, it's like saying, oh, actually, you know, these are part of our needs. Lead by example and empower. So you want to help, and then empower people to help themselves. And exactly, we've got to be doing that ourselves.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, like you said, that there's a stigma around, you know, alcohol kind of abuse and losing children, and, you know, people are maybe afraid of telling anyone about it. So maybe this kind of your type of third party, kind of, which is not linked to local authority or something, could be a good place to start if you have kind of the willpower and stuff and so on. So who would be then the funders for your kind of freebies, you know, freebie clients, or who would be funding that, you know, the discounts that you could be giving in the future?
Well, there's kind of different angles, I suppose, because there is the kind of well-being in work angle. So there's those that, you know, within big sort of companies which are looking to invest in kind of their social support for their workers, you know. So there is the local authority, the government aspect as well. I mean, sort of the systems of mental health and you know, physical health, the health service is in crisis, so anything that can kind of help with that, working with treatment centers, working with elements like that, and also just working with people that want to give back. I mean, we've done scaled pricing before, so, you know, we've done, you know, for example, a course, and then people knowing that if they can pay that enables someone else to not to pay a lower element. So I guess, I mean, we're that's, as you say, the book was published this year, so that's been our project. So next year it will be like, right, how and who can we seek funding from?
The kind of the local authority, that kind of is interesting in that, because there's only sort of treatment models for people in the UK once you get into a really bad state, really. Because we work with early intervention and very aspirational models, and very, you know, it's a very sort of positive kind of approach, so it's quite attractive. So you know, you're not going to get the stigma, but also because we work with early intervention, it's quite cheap, because you're not looking at really sort of expensive interventions. A lot of this can be done by the individual, or with, you know, with tech platforms, like we're getting to grips with Zoom, aren't we? A lot of our courses are over Zoom. We're running, you know, our groups with women over Zoom. So actually it can be done quite cheaply. So it could be quite an attractive option to those avenues at some point, if they, you know, once it becomes I suppose visible to them.
How do you monitor your impact?
Well, we have a group. We have a sort of the way that we generally get engagement is via the podcast often, or by maybe people know about us through social media, or being on guests on other people's podcasts. I think that's our biggest platform, is the podcast, and now the book. And then what we do is, because we have the community, people tend to go through our one-to-one coaching with us, but that's slightly separate. We'll do the group program, and then part of that is that you can become a member of the group. So people tend to hang around, and we we do surveys afterwards, but then we do see them, because we're still relatively small. You know, we've got about 300 people in our communities. We know people who've worked with us, and we're keeping in contact with them.
So Danielle, what about you? What kind of impact you can report on having, and what is the difference in your service relating to maybe some like a local enterprise service, you know, like funded by EU or something? You know, I've attended certain that kind of services before, but what is the difference you think that you will be providing, or different kind of service that those organizations do?
No, I think it actually does come down to the way we view and measure impact, in a way, like in terms of difference. I'll explain what I mean. So for us, it's always been a challenge, because especially when you're, you know, as I'm sure the other guys will appreciate, when you're starting off, those kind of numbers and stuff, and especially when you're looking at funding options and that kind of stuff, you know, they almost kind of want you to have the evidence that you're able to do it before you've done it. And it's like, okay, how do we do that? there's obviously quite simple ways we could do it in terms of number of hours we've done one-to-one. I think by the end of this second year, we would have done kind of in excess of 2,000 hours of kind of coaching and mentoring with entrepreneurs. We could measure it in terms of number of new businesses started. We could measure it in terms of the amount of funding that the businesses have received.
Yeah.
But I think the deeper stuff that we're really trying to understand now is the connections that are made and what they lead to, or the kind of the belief that's built up in these kind of young and emerging entrepreneurs. It's a lot harder to measure, and that's what we're trying to figure out, is how do we really understand that, and not just understand it for ourselves, but then communicate that to partners, to potential funding bodies. And then going on to the kind of difference, I think that's it, is, there's programs we're aware of that were funded by the EU, where their goals that are set as a funding requirement is, okay, you need to get X number of participants on this program completed.
Yeah.
It could be that those, say, 30 businesses that go through that program, 28 of them fail.
Yeah.
2 of them, one does okay and one does exceptionally well. But obviously to the funders, they say that program was a complete success because they hit the metrics we set out. So I think for us, we understand that the legacy and our impact is going to be measured by how those businesses do in the long term. Where are they at? What are they doing?
Yeah, and it just came to me as well. That's important, and because every business cannot be successful. We know that their businesses always fail, but also then how people are feeling after the failure and what they do afterwards, or are they spinning it off to doing something else? Because that what I've noticed in the startup community, because I've been doing this now almost 5 years full time, and it hasn't been always easy. So you see also a lot of broken souls, I would say, because people have invested so much, and put so time and effort, and then things fail, and it can be, very, very difficult to kind of get past that. But also then, like you said, that how many businesses then actually stay alive, and how many people can then hire other people to their companies, and something that should be definitely kind of a longer term impact measurement. And these things don't happen fast, so you have to monitor these things for years.
It is that wider impact. And I think even there, where a business fails, is there's elements that can be taken out of that. If that person spent a year working on that business, growing that business, the skills that they've built up during that time could be extremely valuable to an employer. So there's they can't view that as a year lost or a year wasted. It was meaningful and has had impact on their life.
So now a question, Mandy and Kate, what kind of corporate partnerships would you be hoping to gain in the future?
You know what? I mean, I think we've been such organic growth. We just haven't really considered who can help us. It's been that thing of like, we've been led by passion, we've been led by our own experiences, we've been led by a need, and we've just been kind of doing everything as and when, and a lot off our own back. So I'm thinking, gosh, maybe we should go to the Birmingham Enterprise to work out the backbones of things. So, I mean, corporate, I don't know. I mean, I think it's, stress, overwhelm, how people are living in this kind of fast-paced world is becoming everyone's issue, and we work not only with kind of women in sobriety, we also work at a larger kind of level with addictive behaviors, and we're writing a course for the Coaching Academy to work alongside them to train coaches in this area. So I think the wider kind of work in the future will be going into corporations and saying, look, how are you alcohol aware? Are you addiction aware? Are you, how are you sort of managing stress in your, what are the sort of protocols within place? And also when people are coming out of a difficult time, how are you sort of helping and supporting them to not relapse or to not go back to behavior? So it's kind of looking at a holistic sense to all areas of the kind of corporate world supporting, but who ideally I haven't even began to dream really. Kate, I don't know if you've got anything to add.
No, I was going to pick that up as well. I was going to say, the thing that I'm looking at the moment, I think this is lighting us up about the changing conversations about mental health in the workplace, and sort of these sort of new emerging kind of slightly more funky companies take this quite seriously, and they do have coaching, and they do coaching days, they have mental health days. So I think as this hopefully this, I think we're in such big seismic shifts as well because of the pandemic and because of not knowing what work is going to be looking like. It's like, are we going to be working in offices? Are we going to be working from home? What's the NHS going to be looking at like? Where is the funding going to be? I think it's a little bit difficult to predict at the moment, but I definitely think, as Mandy said, something within that sort of corporate, but mental health and general wellness, that emerging conversation there, I think.
Would it be, it just came to me kind of that, I'm sure a lot of companies recognize these problems and they know that there are employees who would really benefit from this kind of early intervention and services, and it would save a lot of money from the company as well. But could you be offering some kind of like anonymous packages that you make a deal with the company where this kind of, let's say, the maximum sum and what it could entail, and then the employees they would contact you directly, and the employer would not know, of course, who is participating, because I guess that's the biggest thing. There's not people signing up to the HR director. Yes, I need these service. People would like to be anonymous, but companies would probably gladly pay that. So I guess some kind of a
I think there is that, and there's that, we write online courses, so there's that kind of click and buy element that you can provide for your employees, but also going in and doing training days and workshops about being curious about sobriety, or being curious about well-being, and being able to have those conversations with the knowledge that in the background there is that card that they can pick up and take home with them if they need to follow on the conversation, for sure.
And then there is that thing that the work that we're doing with the Coaching Academy is very much looking at why addiction is everybody's business. It's like like from the smartphones, it's not just looking at substance use, it's looking at our addictive habits, and how in times of heightened stress and heightened anxiety we can go to maladaptive behaviours. All of us, none of us are invulnerable. So a lot about destigmatizing and raising awareness as well.
What about Danielle? How can corporates support you? What is
give us money?
But do you think that you have something to give for the employees as a training as well, or kind of entrepreneurial mindset, I would say?
Yeah, I'd say so. So we've just come to the end of a 6-month program that we've ran, funded by Innovate UK, which was around helping individuals to build entrepreneurial skills, both within, if they were going to go into the into starting a business or go into the workplace. So we've kind of shown a bit that we're able to do that. I think though that the challenge for us, I guess the same with Love Sober with corporates is understanding that kind of exchange of value. So we spoke with corporates right at the very start. And for a lot of them, the timing was wrong because we hadn't really figured out what we were all about. Now we're kind of a bit deeper, and as I mentioned earlier, we can show signs that we're able to generate impact. It's not an easy conversation, but it's an easier conversation to have. I think we were spoke to somebody in one quite large company in the country, and for them, obviously, he said even when they're looking at CSR, they still have the return on investment in mind. And I think this is one of the advantages that a social enterprise can have, is yes, we understand impact, but we also understand the commercial world as well, and we understand that if a company is going to put money into something, they need to understand their return on investment. And I think especially with what the ladies are doing in terms of well-being, seeing that return that it could have, if you've got a workforce and you're taking care of their mental health, taking care of their general well-being, that does place a return on, on that investment. Same obviously with us in terms of if you're helping them to build new skills, that's going to provide you a return as well.
So there is that bit of research as well, wasn't there, Amanda? We were looking at today about how many days are lost through.
Yes, I believe it's 17.8 million days are lost between stress, mental health, and general overwhelm from staff. So that's quite a lot.
That is quite a lot. Yes. Do you, neither one of your organizations, would you benefit from anything else than money or somebody buying your services? Like, do you take like skills-based volunteers? Do people donate products or services to you? Or would you like to, have some of those?
Yeah.
Yes.
What would they be? I mean, are you similar to charities that you take all kind of donations?
Yeah, I think, so just as an example, we work with a great guy called Shami who works at Uber. And I think like there, for our entrepreneurs to have somebody who's quite senior in an organization like that, to kind of provide mentorship to them and say, okay, this is how we deal with these kind of tech challenges.
Okay.
Can provide an immense amount of value.
Yeah, I think well, certainly personally for us, we were really lucky to work for a while with a business mentor who offered kind of an exchange in skills for, she was questioning her own drinking, and so we coached her and she helped us in terms of kind of getting our website up. I think very much that can be the gap, is kind of the accounting, the finance side, the tech side, but we also do work within different, with meditation teachers, for example, or with different wellness practitioners, yoga teachers, things like that. So we can do dual days of doing a creative arts event for people, and having those conversations about behavior, but also about how to add in and look after yourselves in different ways, and nutrition, things like that. So anyone that has any sort of specialist in the well-being sector is always sort of welcome. We have a lot of great people on the podcast that come on, and that helps with that exchange of skills.
Also PR, marketing PR, because part of the work that we do, and one of our missions, is to change the conversation around alcohol, and not just so that it's not just a few people over there who can't cope with it because they're alcoholics. It's like, okay, let's have a look at the cultural piece, let's have a look at the marketing piece. And what's been great with the book is that there's been a lot of the stories have changed in the media. They're starting to look at grey area drinking now, the spectrum of alcohol use, and really questioning the marketing about it in a way that we've never seen before. So we're so delighted about that. So to keep pushing that awareness of a cultural story is very important in keeping the stigma away from this area, and really supporting people early on. So anything, marketing, PR that can raise that profile is also
that would really scale the impact of your message, definitely, because like you said, that it applies to millions and millions of people in this country, and as an English product, and your podcast in English, it can reach any audience across the world, who understand English or speak English. So why don't you give a little promotion of your book once more? What's the name and where can you get it? And
okay, so our book is called Love Yourself Sober. It's a self-care approach to alcohol-free living for busy mothers, but really it's for carers. We want to say that it's caring for the carer, very much a 360 about mental health. And where we live, really, we live and breathe, is lovesober.com. That's where all of our stuff is.
Okay. What about Danielle? If somebody now is dreaming of becoming an entrepreneur, does the person have to be living in Birmingham, or can they, join your, community from somewhere else? Or what is kind of the
can live in Birmingham. You could live in the North Pole. We'll still help. Okay. So we again with the access to kind of technology such as Zoom like this, our programs, we have no criteria in terms of where you are. You could be based anywhere. And again, whether you are just trying to figure out your first steps, whether you've already made a start and are looking just to build strong foundations, or whether you're now on a journey of growth, you know, we can help you at any step along the way.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been a lovely discussion. I'm very excited myself. Yeah, so thank you so much for your time. And thank you everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Yes, this podcast. And if there's anything else you wish to learn from social enterprises, charities, giving, supporting any social value organizations, just visit whatimpact.com. And also follow our social handles. Where can people, by the way, reach you guys? Or are you on LinkedIn? Can people maybe send a message, or is it lovesober.com probably for Mandy and Kate?
Yeah, we're both on LinkedIn, but you know the best way is info@lovesober.com. That's the best starting point.
What about Daniel? Where can you be reached?
For us, it's birminghaменterprisecommunity.co.uk. You can email us at hello@birminghaменterprisecommunity.co.uk, on all major social media platforms as well. Come and engage.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.